Community ecology. This is the first of about 5 videos. We're going to talk about survival relationships. And we're going to talk about a lot of interspecific interactions like competition, predation, symbiosis, and facilitation. So up first is competition. And we're going to have an abbreviation for each of these. You have 2 species involved, and with competition, the first species is affected negatively, and the second species is affected negatively. So this is a negative relationship. This is where individuals of different species compete for some sort of resource that limits their growth and survival. This could be like weeds in your garden, stealing nutrients from the soil and water from the plants that you're trying to grow, or grasshoppers and bison competing for grass to eat, or a lynx and a fox competing for snowshoe hare to eat. Some resources are rarely or in short supply, like oxygen, so they are not a limiting factor. Competitive exclusion here is the idea that when 2 species compete for the same limiting factor, one will be better. One will be able to use resources, get whatever that factor is, reproduce more rapidly, and outcompete the other, and eliminate the other from that area. So if you take these 2 species of paramecium and you grow them in culture separately, they grow like you would expect, lag phase, exponential, and then level out at a carrying capacity. If you grow them together, then somehow this guy, Paramecium aurelia, has a competitive advantage, and they will outcompete Paramecium caudatum, and this one will be extinct in the culture that you're growing them in. Remember, Paramecium are tiny protists that are ciliated. Competitive exclusion. That's what I already did. Just pretend that's not written there. All right. Ecological niches and natural selection. Eugene Odom said it best: a habitat is your address, the niche is your job. This is going to be how you use, or how an organism uses, biotic and abiotic resources in its environment. If you look at a tree frog, its ecological role is going to include things like the temperature range it tolerates, the size of branches it perches on, the time of day it's active, and sizes and kinds of insects it eats. So if you combine niche with competitive exclusion, you can say 2 species cannot coexist permanently in a community if their niches are identical. The only way they're going to exist at the same time is if changes in the niches arise over time. And this is resource partitioning, the differentiation of niches that enable similar species to coexist in a community. I left out words we need to know here. So, you're going to have 2 types of niches here. Fundamental. I must be at the edge of the slide. Let me pause for a second. All right. We're going to have 2 types of niches, a fundamental Your fundamental niche is your niche potentially occupied by a species. And then you have a realized niche, which is the portion of that fundamental niche that it actually occupies. And this is going to be different due to competition, right? In your book, there's an example of two barnacles. One lives higher on the rock and one lives lower on the rock. But if you remove that one that's lower on the rock, the one that's higher on the rock takes over both areas. There's also, a common spiny mouse and a golden spiny mouse. And they live in the same area, and one is nocturnal and one is diurnal when they live together. But if you put them in the lab and put them in separate cages, both are nocturnal. Character displacement. This is when two closely related species that look alike, that look similar, become to look more different when they are competing for the same resources. Predation, we need to talk about predation, and our symbol here, one benefits and one dies. Say death. This is when one organism kills and eats another. So, usually your predator is your killer, right? And your prey is your food source. Both of these guys are going to have different adaptations to do their job. To be a predator, you're usually going to have really acute senses. You're going to have things like claws, teeth, fangs, stingers, poisons. You're probably going to be fast and agile. And maybe you're disguised in your environment. These are common among lots of different types of predators. With prey, they need to be able to get away, right? So behaviorally, they can hide, they can flee, which is run away. They can form schools or herds, which helps to protect them. They can have alarm calls. It is rare to see a prey fight a predator. But in large mammals, sometimes if they're defending their young, they will fight off predators or attempt to. Prey also have morphological and physiological defenses. Cryptic coloration is camouflaged, is camo. Aw, I ran out of room again. That stinks. Let me try this again. Camouflage. Blending in, right? You could have things like mechanical defenses, like porcupines having spines. You could have chemical defenses, like skunks. And you can have toxic defenses, like the European fire salamander, who accumulates toxins from the food it eats and uses it against its predators. Aposematic coloration. This is warning colors. Like a poison dart frog. They're usually really brightly colored, and bright colors on animals in nature tends to be a warning sign. Some prey are protected by resembling another species, so they mimic or copy someone else, right? The larva hawk puffs up its head to look like a venomous snake, and it even has a behavioral aspect because it'll move around some. You can see pictures of this in your book. And then I'm sorry, you need a definition here. This is when a palatable or harmless species mimics an unpalatable or harmful one. So even your monarch that we talked about the other day and the viceroy. A viceroy butterfly looks like a monarch, but remember, monarchs taste bad. So this guy doesn't get eaten as much because he looks like somebody who tastes bad. Mullerian mimicry is when you have two unpalatable species that resemble each other. A cuckoo bee and a yellow jacket. And here you have a lot of convergent evolution. EVOL. In that most of your guys who look bad and taste bad, they have similar coloration, like black and yellow and red. And these colors are common in both snakes and insects. Herbivory, your herbivores, this is also going to be a plus minus. With the babies, I include this with predation because a cow still eats parts of its prey, right? This is things like cow, sheep, water buffalo, grasshoppers, beetles, snails, sea urchins, tropical fish, manatees, whatever. And your herbivores are going to have specialized adaptations as well. Chemical sensors on their feet to distinguish between toxic and non-toxic plants. Some just smell the plants. Some may eat just a special part of the plant, like only the flower. Some have specialized teeth. That should say teeth. We'll just white that out. And specialized digestive systems to help break down all that vegetation. Plant defenses are like running away, right? No. We'll see who really listens to the video. Plants can't run. But they do have chemical toxins like strychnine, nicotine, tannins, and there's even one type of plant called a loco weed that has selenium in it, and the cows that eat it will wander around aimlessly in circles and die. Some plants have structures like spines and thorns to keep from being eaten. And some things that we even think taste good are distasteful to herbivores like cinnamon, cloves, and peppermint. So now we have a few types of symbiosis. Symbiosis means living together. The first one here is going to be parasitism. A parasite is the one that's going to benefit from this relationship. So somebody benefits, somebody is harmed. The host is harmed. Usually the parasite is the parasite is smaller. Host is bigger. An ectoparasite versus endo. You should know this from your, what were those things? Prefix quizzes from a million years ago. Ectoparasites are things on the outside of the host. Endoparasites are things on the inside of the host. Tapeworm would be an endoparasite. A tick would be an ectoparasite. It is estimated that maybe a third of the organisms on Earth are parasites. Many have complex life cycles, including more than one host, like this blood fluke. This is complex life cycles, heads up. A blood fluke, like 200 million people are currently infected with blood flukes. They require humans and snails as their vectors, as their hosts. And some parasites can even affect behavior to increase the probability of transfer. A canthocephalin, which is a spiny-headed worm, can lead crustacean hosts to do atypical behaviors like leave your protective cover and come out here in the open. And what happens is it increases the chance of that crustacean being eaten by a bird, which is the next host in its life cycle. They can affect survival, reproduction, density of host populations directly or indirectly. Ticks on a moose can weaken the host by drawing blood and causing hair breakage and loss, and then that can increase the moose's chance of dying from cold stress or predation from wolves. Mutualism. Everybody benefits. This is the kind of friend you want, right? You don't want a parasite for a friend. Mutualism, we've talked about a lot of examples. Nitrogen fixation by bacterium root nodules. The flagellated protists in the guts of termites and cows that help to break down cellulose. Mycorrhizae is the association of the fungus and the plant root that increases production and nutrient uptake for the plant, and then the mycorrhizae get food, right? And these guys can either be obligate, like the termite and the flagellates, which obligate mutualism means at least one of the species has lost the ability to survive without its partner. Facultative mutualism is when both can still survive on their own. This is likely to involve coevolution, which is changes in either species are likely to affect survival and reproduction of the other species. We talked about flowering plants and pollinators evolving together before. Commensalism, one organism benefits while the other has no effect. It's neutral. It's really hard to find examples of this in nature, because while it could look like there's no effect, maybe in the long run there is an effect. But some of the classic examples are like algae growing on sea turtles. But if that helps to camouflage the sea turtle, then it could be a benefit. Or if it hurts the sea turtle by increasing drag and it can't move as fast or find food or escape a predator, then it's a negative effect. Barnacles on whales is the same thing. And then cowbirds and cattle egrets feed on insects that are flushed up by bison or cattle or horses, right? And so the herbivore may be unaffected, but if it's not getting what the cattle is flushing out of the grass and instead is eating the ticks off the cattle, then that's definitely getting a benefit there too. Or what if it just warns of a predator's approach? Then the cow is still benefiting. Facilitation. This could be a positive or positive neutral situation. Facilitation, they don't have to be in close intimate contact. Sorry. Black rush is a type of plant that grows in northeastern New England type area, New England salt marshes. And the benefit of it growing in these salt marshes is it increases shade, which decreases evaporation and decreases the salt content of these salt marshes, which allows more different types of plants to grow there. And it can also prevent the salt marsh from becoming too oxygen depleted. In one study, they removed the black rush, and 50% less species were growing in the salt marsh than when it was with the black rush there. Let's see. Oh, look. That's the end of this one. I think that'll be it for tonight. One video.